The Monday, February 10th, 2025 meeting of the Marquette City Commission is called to order. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Commissioner Mayer. Commissioner Ottaway.
Here.
Commissioner Schlegel.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Commissioner Smith?
What are you doing?
If you're looking at the wrong one.
You're all over the place.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Gottlieb.
Right here.
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Commissioner Mayer. Commissioner Ottaway.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schlegel.
Here.
And Mayor Hanley.
Here. Commissioners, do we have a motion to excuse Commissioner Mayer? Commissioner Davis?
I move we excuse Commissioner Mayer for personal reasons.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Ottaway?
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right. That brings us, Commissioners, we have an agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion on the agenda? Commissioner Gottlieb?
Move to accept the agenda as written.
A second? Commissioner Larson?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 6-0. I have no announcements tonight, so that brings us to our first public comment of the evening. Public comment may not exceed 3 minutes per person, and please state your name and physical address when addressing the commission.
Good evening. Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street, and tonight I'm not speaking on behalf of myself. I'm speaking as a representative of the Board of Light and Power. We are here in support of the Commission's review of new action item 3, which is the resolution to support House Bill 4007 of 2025, which calls for a roll call vote. The Board of Light and Power would very much like to have the City Commission approve this resolution, as it was introduced by Representative Bonak, and it is designed to redefine renewable energy so that our current Marquette Energy Center and other locations within the Upper Peninsula that use what are called RICE units, which are reciprocating internal combustion engine units, which run off of natural gas, can be included as renewable energy, as opposed to right now, in the current legislation, they would be excluded. I'm here on behalf of the BLP. If you have any questions, I'll be sitting quietly in the corner unless called upon. But this bill makes sense. Right now, we are addressing the issue with the current legislation because that's our job. But this bill would make more sense in terms of it would allow us to continue to use the existing power plants through their natural lifetime and also not have to give up on them before they're paid for. So thank you for your time, and we would appreciate a yes vote on this item. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right. Seeing none, public comment is now closed, which brings us to presentations. We have one presentation tonight from the Peter White Public Library by Chair Andrea Ingmeyer. Thank you for being here, Andrea.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. I have a lot of slides, but I'm going to be moving through them fast. They are on our website. You also have the link, so if you want to go back and look at any of them later, you have the access to do so. Of course, the mission of Peter White Public Library is to enrich the community through access to library services and cultural opportunities. We were established in 1871 by Peter White under special act of legislation and city charter. We are a city library with township contracts. In November 2024, the library was on the ballot in all 5 of these townships, and I'm happy to report that all the ballot proposals passed. We are so fortunate to have an excellent and engaged governance board and township advisory council. These folks are really invested in the library and how the library can meet community needs. Adopted in 2023, our strategic plan is set ongoing strategic priorities of service, sustainability, and expertise. The plan also included 3-year goals, and we are in the last year of those goals. I'll be updating you on our accomplishments in 2024 within the framework of these strategic priorities. Books are still central to what we do, the work that we do, and these are our 2024 top checkouts for the adult collection. This is a 5-year overview of our collection count. I like statistics, so there's a lot of bar graphs in here. Again, you can go back to it and look at it in more detail later. But we continue to weed and add to our collection on a daily basis. Our total physical collection count is over 161,000 items right now. Our biggest proportional reduction in the last year was with our audiobook collection. You'll notice that green bar is significantly lower or smaller this year in 2024 as opposed to 2023. And that transition is in good part a digital transition that we're seeing with usage of our collection. We'll talk about more about that here. These are just some photos of fun collection things. Our circulation statistics continue to be very steady. We did see a 15% increase in digital item circulation in the last year, but we're still circulating almost 210,000 items a year of physical items from the library. This is an overview of our digital resources, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about Libby, Hoopla, and Canopy, which are our top 3 digital resources. So this is a look at digital checkouts by item type: ebook, e-audiobook, video, e-magazine, and music. E-audiobook are by and large our largest circulating digital collection. So Libby is a traditional resource where we purchase titles and get access for a certain period of time or number of checkouts. These items often have holds. Hoopla and Canopy are simultaneous use products. We can only limit by the number of checkouts we allow patrons to have and our budget. Until this year, the budget hadn't really been an issue. We just limited by number of checkouts and that did it. But as the popularity grows, we're starting to see that we're going to have to consider our budget overall and setting budget limits for those 2 resources, Hoopla and Canopy. This is a graph showing our usage over the last 3 years. And you can see that Hoopla is a steady climb upward. Just because I love graphics and numbers, I wanted to see what the top e-audiobook checkouts in Hoopla were for the last year. This is the top 27 circulating items. You'll see that all 7 Harry Potter books are on there, 4 Sarah J. Maas books, 2 Rebecca Yarros books, and 2 Frida McFadden books. So those 4 authors take up about half of the top checkouts in Hoopla. Programming attendance continues to be very strong at the library. We're putting an emphasis on quality over quantity and really taking a look at what we're doing and why we're doing it. Is somebody else already doing that? Because there's only so much time, so much money, so much resources, and we want to make sure we're doing the best for our community that we can. This is just some fun pictures from the last year, some programming taking place at the library. We are currently in the middle of winter reading, which is our youth winter reading program. And we have the NEA Big Read grant programming coming up in March. So this will be around the book, Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant by author Roz Chast. We'll have 21 events surrounding the themes of elder care, family dynamics, and community. This is a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, and we're really excited about this programming. And we will have Roz Chast in person, but virtually, for a question and answer session in March. Computer use has trended up in the last year. I suspect that's due in part to the influx of Northern students that we're seeing with Olson Library being closed. We are seeing a whole lot of Northern students at the library, and you can tell by our parking lot. The rooms continue to be very popular at the library. Our reservations are increasing every year. Our drop-in use, we started tracking that. That's the red bar there. Those are just people popping in to use the room when it's open. And then our study room usage are really the astounding one. And we suspect that also is due in good part to the Northern students. But I'll be interested to see when Olson's done. I don't think those rooms are going to be less used. It'll just be different usage. This is just an overview of the rooms that we do have available at the library. 6 of those are bookable spaces. The study rooms are not bookable. They are checkout. You check out with your library card. And then, of course, with MACC transitioning out, we'll have one more space coming onto our roster soon. We continue to expand our website content, recording as many programs as is reasonable to do so, so that they can be viewed later or by folks who can't make it into the library. Digitization continues to grow. We are working with the NMU Archives, their Uplink program, to digitize several resources. We have the Cloverland Magazine, 1916 to 1923 available. Mining Journal right now is 1868 to November of 1967, and we have up through 1982 in the queue for ingestion as Uplink can get to it. We also have another set of film that's sent off for processing, which will take us up to 1989. And at that point, we are at a standstill until we can get copyright approval from the Mining Journal to do the rest. So we're going to keep pushing until we hit that copyright date, and then we have to stop until we can get approval from them. Our Polk directories have been digitized, and they are also waiting for ingestion, so that's a whole new collection. Uplink did have a down period where they were transitioning between platforms, so that's why we have all this content that's digitized and ready, and it's just not quite available yet, but it's coming online now. Of course, we've been planning for the MACC transition. Our current plans include keeping the DO Gallery as is, part of the public gallery program. Studio 1 will continue to be a bookable space handled by our staff. Studio 2 will transition to Peter White and partner programming only, and that does include early voting. And then offices will be occupied by our staff. In August of 2024, we did a major space shuffle. We flipped our AV and teen zone areas, and the teens got more square footage, 3 walls, and 1 access point. So they're happy, we're happy. And hopefully the police are happy too. I like that 1 access point idea. In terms of sustainability, of course, our big project from this last year was replacing those Front Street steps, the lower set there. That was a pretty large project and was really important. As you can see, the state of the stairs before the replacement was pretty bad. So we're glad to have that done. This is a look at our expenses over a 5-year period. That blue bar to the far right on the top is building repairs and maintenance. And you'll notice that's quite a bit larger than it normally is. And that's just showing those Front Street stairs payments. This is a breakdown with numbers of our last year expenditures. And then the same for revenues, that 5-year trend showing the Front Street stairs, and then also a further breakdown. Also, in terms of financial sustainability, the PWPL Development Fund saw 77% growth in the last year, and that is due primarily to new funds coming into the development fund. It's pretty amazing. In terms of expertise, of course, maintaining a well-qualified staff in order to provide customer services is pretty high on our priority. And I anticipate this will be a strong focus of 2025. In 2024, we had a 37% turnover in our staff. Ooh, it hurt. That's been an ouch year. Typically, we run more in the 10%. So this last year was really challenging one for our staff. And so we have a very young staff, a very new staff, and we're working through some of the bumps in the road that causes, and just the need to get everybody up to board with all of the things library related. Our Friends of the Library continue to be amazing. In 2024, they raised $60,000 to support programming, collections, and equipment at the library. We continue to work with experts in our community to add capacity to what we do through partner organizations and partner programming. And we have a number of interns and volunteers that we work with, including the SLFP program at Northern, high school volunteers, and we have some friends that volunteer more directly than just working with the bookstore or the book sales. So coming up in 2025, we'll be revisiting our strategic plans, strategic priorities, and setting goals for 2026 to 2028. we've got those staffing issues to work through, and then a couple fairly large building issues that we're strategizing over, including that Trixie elevator. That's all I have for you. Can I answer any questions?
Commission, do we have any questions or comments? Oh. Commissioner Ottaway?
Thank you so much for the presentation. I thought it was it's always great to see everything going on at the library. It's the jewel of Marquette, really. Something you brought up numerous times over your presentation was just the budget, financial concerns. Over the next couple of years, what do you think your biggest concern is for the library from a budgetary standpoint?
Well, there's two that come to mind. The building, we have an aging HVAC system. We did have a leak over MLK Day, and probably due to temperature, but it was a pretty big wake-up call for us of like, oh, we have this 25-year-old HVAC system that's going to continue to have issues. So that there's some rather large building repairs issues that are kind of on our mind. And then, of course, staffing, as you all are well aware, because I'm sure you've heard a lot from this other city departments, retaining staff is tricky right now. We have to be competitive with wages, we have to be competitive with benefits, and that comes at a cost. So those two items are really, I think, our biggest challenges budget-wise.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gottlieb?
Three hopefully quick things. One is personal. I love Libby. It is so great.
Yeah.
And I use it a lot.
Good.
I noticed that your endowment growth went from 870K to 1.5 mil. How did you do that?
We have amazing community members who love the library, and we've had several established endowments with the library over the last year.
It's an amazing growth for 1 year.
It really
Amazing.
is.
And-
Yeah.
And kudos to you for that. The other one was in a budget of over 2.3 million, you had a projected net revenue of about $6,000 in 2024. That's pretty tight with a budget of that high. How did you guys do that? And if you were that close, then kudos to your budget person. I would love to meet that person.
So it really comes down to the development fund. So we are fortunate to work so closely with the development fund to the point where at the end of the year, we sit down and say, how much do we actually need to take from the development fund? And we only take as much as we need to take to cover our expenses, and then everything else stays invested with the development fund. So we're extremely conservative with what we take from our development fund resources because that's part of our long-term growth strategy, right? If we have a diversified strategy for where our money comes from, we have more security. So that's how it happens. It's not because we're geniuses, although we're pretty good at budgeting.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Pro Tem Schlegel?
thank you. Thank you, Andrea. I think one of the best things that I take away from this presentation each year is everything that truly goes on in this building and what an impact it has on the community, serving as, gathering place and for multiple, groups, organizations, causes, you name it. And it really is so much more than books and that type of venue, and to be able to toot your horn like you do today, I think it's a great just a compliment to everything that goes on inside there. So thanks for all your hard work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you so much you really did fly through it. I will give you credit. That was quite fast. But no, the library is wonderful, and thank you for coming to share how wonderful it's doing. It's always good to hear. Did you have anything else? Okay. All right. With that, thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
All right, commissioners, this brings us to our consent agenda. Commissioners, do we have a motion on consent? Commissioner Ottaway?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second? Pro Tem Schlegel?
Second the motion.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 6-0. This brings us to new business. We have one new business item on our agenda tonight. The resolution to support House Bill 4007 of 2025, which is a roll call vote. City Clerk, may I have the background, please?
Thank you, Mayor. There is no background. I can read the resolution. The recommendation is simply to adopt the resolution of support for House Bill 4007 of 2025. And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas the City of Marquette, Michigan has responsibility for ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of residents and visitors, and whereas the Marquette Board of Light and Power was established by city charter and is responsible for the light and power operations of the city, and whereas approximately 17,000 residents within the city of Marquette and parts of the 9 surrounding townships receive electrical power from the Marquette Board of Light and Power, and whereas House Bill 4007 of 2025 aims to expand the definition of clean energy systems and promote alternative energy sources in Michigan, and whereas the bill seeks to amend the Clean and Renewable Energy and Energy Waste Reduction Act, Public Act 295 of 2008, to include a broader range of clean energy technologies, and whereas the City of Marquette and Marquette County are home to 2 new highly efficient natural gas generating stations, the Marquette Energy Center and the FD Custer generating station, that are critical to providing dependable power to our community, and whereas the Marquette Energy Center, constructed by the Marquette Board of Light and Power, and the FD Custer generating station, constructed by Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation, have facilitated the transition from oversized coal-fired generating plants to efficient, clean, and right-sized natural gas generation, significantly contributing to the decarbonization of the Upper Peninsula. And whereas, according to the Michigan Public Service Commission, the Upper Peninsula shuttered its last coal plant in 2019, reducing carbon dioxide emissions in the electric power sector by 71% from 2013 to 2022. And whereas these investments were developed in coordination with the Upper Peninsula stakeholders and the state of Michigan to address an energy crisis and ensure grid reliability, representing a forward-thinking approach to energy generation, and whereas House Bill 4007 is essential to enable the continued operation of these reciprocating internal combustion engine, RICE, units through their useful life, preserving reliable and affordable electric power in the Upper Peninsula. And whereas the RICE units were financed with significant outstanding debt, which will not be paid off until 2036, with a useful life through 2050, and whereas the failure to recognize these investments in Michigan's 2023 Clean Energy Law may result in duplicate energy payments, increasing costs for ratepayers, now, therefore, we, the Marquette City Commission, resolve to strongly support House Bill 4007 of 2025 and urge its swift passage through the Michigan Legislature. Dated this 10th day of February 2025 and signed by Jessica Hanley, Mayor of the City of Marquette.
All right, Commission, do we have a motion? Pro Tem Schlegel?
I would gladly make the motion to approve the resolution as written.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Larson?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think that this is something that should have been included from the original legislation's writing. It just, when it didn't come through, I was on the Board of Light and Power. Was I on there then? Yeah, I was on there then. Close. But anyway, point is that 3 communities up here made a massive investment into these high efficiency units, and they weren't even considered. And it just is incredibly upsetting from my perspective that the people that were jamming this legislation through at the time didn't appreciate the efforts that these communities in the UP, who were way ahead of most other communities throughout the nation, we're making in order to idle the coal plants and expand into this next generation of energy production. So this is long. It should have been included, and that's all I got to say about it. And this is exactly what we need to see as far as future legislation. Thank you.
Commissioner Larson?
Yeah, I would just say that, I just want to be clear that, while I don't personally consider the RICE units to be clean energy in the way that we typically think of renewables like wind and solar, they certainly play an important role in the energy transition, allowing us, and they've certainly allowed us to move away from coal, providing, reliable power and support that broader integration of renewables into the future. It does that by filling those gaps where, the sun isn't shining or we don't have wind power behind it. So this bill here really ensures that these facilities can live out their useful lives without placing undue financial burden on our ratepayers. And we want to be able to recognize Michigan's clean energy policy without, without risking duplicative energy costs that ultimately get passed to the residents. So I will support this because it's a pragmatic step forward and it acknowledges the investments that we've already made while continuing to push forward for more cleaner energy solutions in the future.
Anyone else? Commissioner Gottlieb?
I echo what Commissioner Larson and Pro Tem Schlegel said, and I bow to their expertise in this area. But this is no brainer and no comment is really necessary past that.
Anyone else? City Clerk, may we have the roll call vote, please?
I'm going to get it this time. Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Gottlieb,
Yes.
Commissioner Larson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ottaway,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schlegel,
Yes.
and Mayor Hanley.
Yes. Sorry, I'm hearing noises. This passes 6-0. All right. With that, we are back to public comment. Public comment may again not exceed 3 minutes per person. If we have anyone for public comment, please step forward.
Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street. Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, on behalf of the Marquette Board of Light and Power, you have our sincere thanks and gratitude. We appreciate the support of this resolution. In the meantime, we are tasked with getting ready under the current legislation. And my secondary goal tonight was to invite you all to join us in a joint meeting. If you want to call it a work session or a special meeting, it's up to you. Feel free to check your schedules and reach out, and we can do it. We can do it in this room. We can do it in the BLP. We can go to the Peter White Public Library. They have beautiful meetings. There's a space at the ORDOC. But it's been a long time since the City Commission and the Board of Light and Power has sat down together, and we do have some activities in progress to deal with the current legislation. And we'd be honored and welcoming if you would choose to join us. But in the meantime, let me conclude. You have our sincere thanks, and the people of Marquette who rely upon the BLP will appreciate this more. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right. With that, public comment is closed, and it brings us to comments from the commission. Let's start with Commissioner Ottaway.
Thank you, Mayor. I will just say very quickly, I am not a fan of winter. I've had Commissioner Smith yell at me a time or two because we live in a winter climate. Business is important for all that live here. So I will just make a good comment and say the UP 200 is coming up. It is the first time we are going to have good weather for the UP 200 in a while. Support our local businesses. Do everything you can to enjoy that outdoor activity. Dress warm, shop downtown, think local. Everyone needs it this time of year. Our businesses, especially if you talk to our local friends that operate and run a lot of our shops and storefronts, restaurants, this is a slow time of year for them. Their slowest time of year. They can use the pick-me-up from the UP 200 and they can really use your business. So support them. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Gottlieb?
I do want to note that 2 residents made comments at the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting that we just got minutes for regarding dog park and pickleball courts, which have been on the PRAB agenda for over a decade for the former and at least since 2018 for the latter. I do want the city residents to know that the city commission and city administration really want to establish both the dog park and gain more pickleball courts as much as they do, and we're really working on it. It's not just lip service.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson?
No comments this evening.
Pro Tem Schlegel?
Believe it or not, I am no comments this evening.
Well, perfect. The only thing I was going to say was to talk about the UP 200, but Commissioner Ottaway handled that for me. So that brings us to comments from the city manager.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention as a follow-up on that last agenda item was after this resolution is actually signed, a letter will also be sent to our legislators copying a list, a very long list of legislators that would be seeing this resolution and letter. And it's really something that has shocked me as I have really been studying up on this in the past year and a half, 2 years. But with the two power plants that were in the city, they have been decommissioned. Those coal fired power plants have been decommissioned and have been replaced with these RICE units. And so it's really something that within the past 10 years, I mean, it's actually a shorter time frame than that. So when we look at the impact, this has been something that a group of county leaders have been advocating for, at least a discussion with our legislators down in Lansing. And there is continuous conversations happening. And I think that we are making some progress in getting to a point where we can see some action or some change, and this is certainly going to help with that. So I thank you, but there will be some follow-up that will be sent off as soon as we see some signatures here. A reminder that the community office hours with the city manager, my office, will be at Peter Wright Public Library this Wednesday from 10 until noon. I have been, out there inviting people to come if there are some conversations that are happening. Let's say, for example, on social media. I invite everyone to come on over to community office hours and have some of those conversations with us over a cup of coffee. It's a little bit easier to chat over a cup of coffee than over a keyboard. So please feel free to join us. And if you can't make it, please reach out to my office and we can make a different time, especially one that's not maybe during the working day. So that is Wednesday again, this Wednesday from 10 to noon at Peter Wright Public Library. And I believe that was all I covered. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, we are adjourned at 6:31.